Coming to you live from the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, it's the Cigar Pulpit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm the Bishop of the Burn, Nick, and today, it's Friday the 13th. You got to be a little extra careful today. We're going to be talking all about superstitions today, both commonly known ones, but also cigar-related ones. And, we're gonna see where they go. Hopefully, none of you do any of these and end up with, like, a decade of bad luck. I mean, I don't know how much more worse everyone's luck could get collectively at this point. But for right now, let's just try to avoid some individual bad luck. So, let's get a cigar going. And today, once again, digging in the humidor, finding treasures, finding things I've never smoked before. I don't normally like to smoke things on the show I've never smoked before, but I'm doing it this time because I have smoked other things these folks have made, and I've enjoyed them. So I figure, it's not necessarily a home run I'm going to like it, but it's at least, there's a decent shot. So today I'm going to be smoking the Artista Harvest Sumatra. It's a box pressed Robusto 5x54 featuring a Sumatran wrapper out of Ecuador, a Cameroon African binder, and a proprietary blend of Dominican long filler leaf. So, we'll see. Hopefully, for Ed Sullivan's sake, they got the yuck out of it. We'll see. But it's time to cut the cigar. And the official cutting is brought to you by 2guyscigars.com. That's the number 2guyscigars.com. Two Guys have been around for 40 years, and they are the trusted name in the cigar industry. Everybody knows Two Guys, but if you don't, please give them a try. You won't be sorry. Family owned and operated, 2guyscigars.com does the very best to provide a great selection, fair prices, and excellent customer service. So head on over to 2guyscigars.com for your next cigar purchase. Tell them that the Cigar Pulpit sent you. And remember, that's the number 2guyscigars.com. And with that, we're going to go ahead and cut the cigar. I got to thinking about that as I was reading that. And I think, I'm not entirely sure. Let's just do a little quick research here. Harvest. Yes. 2guyscigars.com actually carries the Artista Harvest. Now they have, the band looks a little different. I wonder if they don't carry the Sumatra. I wonder if they carry a different one. Let's click it and see. Let's see what it is. Oh, Ecuadorian Sumatra single. So, okay. So, if you are... wait. It's out of stock. It's out of stock over at Two Guys. In fact, all of them are notified. I take that back. They do have some Toros. They have the Harvest Sumatra Toro for $11.89. If they would have had the Robusto, it would have been $11.29. No boxes are currently available, so they're down to just some singles. So if you're interested in giving this cigar a try, you can head on over to 2guyscigars.com where they've got the Artista Harvest in the Toro size 6x50 for $11.89. We'll see. We'll see how much longer. I don't know. For all I know, they're down to like 2, and you guys are just going to bum rush them. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll see how this smokes. Anyway, give this guy a cut here and get this going. So yeah, I thought it was appropriate, since I had an episode coming out on Friday the 13th, to do a little bit with the old superstitions. Lots of superstitions. Give that a tappy tap. And, talk about that. So anyway, while I light this guy, you guys are going to hear the greatest commercial you've ever heard.
Some say cigars are all the same. It's just not true. It's you I have to blame.
Well, I don't know, 'cause what I know, there is a cigar called Aladino.
Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. They say authentic, so we're not confused, while the others say it's a word that's just abused.
I guess that's so. They can't compete. At least I'm sure Aladino can't be beat.
Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Cigars use authentic Corojo tobacco from JRE Tobacco. This is the greatest commercial you ever heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. All righty. Well, I was jamming out to the music there. So, got this guy lit, and now we're, just taking a little picture here. I gotta admit, I have a little experiment going. It's kind of a gross experiment. I don't know if I really want to get too much into the detail of it, but so I have an ashtray on the desk here, and I'm trying to see how many cigars this ashtray will hold. So I have a collection of cigar butts, and I have all the ash from those cigars. It's a filthy, filthy experiment. Because normally I would have emptied this out long before now. But I have a little knife here. Little knife that I've been chopping up the ash, making it very, very fine. And that way I can, make it fine. And then I've been pushing it, kind of scooting it into the corner so that I'm clearing the room. So I'm like excavating the ashtray as I go. I'm not just piling it up. And you know what? Since I've brought this up, I'll go ahead and show my shame on the YouTube and the Rumble here. We currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 cigar butts and the corresponding ash to go with them. So that's my little project there. And I was trying to not get that in the picture with the Artista cigar. But I do think there's a pile of ash in the background. But anyway, whatever. So yeah, I'm being a filthy savage with my ashtray here in the garage. It's one of those things when you're sitting around watching TV and you're smoking by yourself, you're just like, I wonder how many ashes or how many cigars this ashtray could hold. And so far, this Brick House ashtray that I got for free when I bought so many Brick House cigars one time, this thing is holding 10 cigars worth of ashes and butts. So that's not too shabby. I bet I could get at least another, good handful in there. This is not over. I am running out of room. Anyway, enough about my filthiness. So let's talk about superstitions. So for those of you who maybe have never heard the word before or don't know what they are, superstitions are beliefs that certain actions, objects, or events can influence luck or future outcomes, even though there's no scientific proof. Many originated centuries ago from folklore, religion, or attempts to explain the unknown. So now we're clear as to what we're talking about here. So I figured I'd start with some very common, everybody knows these superstitions, and we'll get into the cigar-specific ones in a bit. So first, we're coming up on St. Patrick's Day, so it would make sense to talk about finding a 4-leaf clover that brings good luck. Most clovers naturally have 3 leaves. The rare 4th leaf makes it special. In Celtic folklore, Druids believed that 4-leaf clovers allowed people to see fairies and ward off evil spirits. The leaves actually have designations. So 1 leaf is for faith, 1 for hope, 1 for love, and 1 for luck. So there's a point to it. And the odds of finding a 4-leaf clover are about 1 in 5,000 clovers. So if you see a big patch of clover out somewhere, you might get lucky and you might be able to stumble across one. I personally have never found one. I don't look on the regular. But when I was a kid, every once in a while you'd kind of look for one. My brother, he found one. I do remember that, but I've never found one. So for what it's worth, there you go. 4-leaf clovers, 1 in 5,000. And, that's it comes from Celtic folklore. The next one we're going to touch on is breaking a mirror causes 7 years of bad luck. Now, apparently this one originates with the ancient Romans, who believed that mirrors reflected the soul, and damaging a mirror was thought to damage the soul itself. Romans also believed that life renews every 7 years, which is where the 7-year period likely came from. Okay. I mean, I don't know. I've broken mirrors before, and maybe I broke a couple in a row, and that's, everything just piled up. But I don't know. I can't say. See, all of these, it's one of those things where it's like, I believe, if you're a master of your own destiny. If you believe this shit is going to like influence your luck, then it's going to. But if you don't, then, maybe it won't. Who knows? But, next one. A black cat crossing your path brings bad luck. During the Middle Ages in Europe, black cats were associated with witches and witchcraft, and people believed that witches could transform into cats or use them as companions. Now, in an interesting twist, the United Kingdom and parts of Japan, black cats are actually considered good luck. Now, as somebody who's previously owned 2 all black cats, they were great. And the personality with black cats, for what it's worth, is pretty good. Cats have personalities, and it's weird. It's kind of based off their fur type. Like, the orange cats, they're fucking crazy. Orange cats are crazy. They're just bananas. But the black ones, they have this they have an interesting attitude about them, but they're very nice, and we should not be afraid of black cats. Next, walking under a ladder brings bad luck. A ladder leaning against a wall forms a triangle, and in Christianity, the triangle symbolized the Holy Trinity. Walking through it was seen as breaking something sacred. There were also practical reasons, such as things falling from ladders, making them dangerous. That, I believe, is the actual purpose for telling people don't walk under a ladder. I don't think it has any, maybe it has roots in Christianity and breaking the Trinity and all that, but let's be real. It's more likely that somebody didn't want somebody walking underneath their ladder while they were on it, and they told them it's bad luck, and they just kind of stuck with that. So, yeah, I wouldn't want somebody walking. If I were on a ladder, I'm not really up on ladders too much because I don't like heights, but if I were up on ladder, I wouldn't want anybody walking around underneath it. Next up, knocking on wood prevents bad luck after saying something hopeful. Ancient pagan cultures believed spirits lived inside trees. Knocking on wood was thought to call on these spirits for protection or to avoid tempting fate. I do that one a lot. And it's just one of those weird little things. I'm not necessarily, do I believe it? Whatever. I don't know. But I do find myself knocking on wood quite frequently. Spilling salt brings bad luck unless you throw some over your left shoulder. Salt was once extremely valuable, and spilling it symbolized a loss or misfortune. The idea of tossing salt over the left shoulder comes from the belief that the devil lurks behind that shoulder. Throwing salt blinds or repels him. So, there you go. I don't know. That's not what I do. Because here's my thing. If I've spilled salt, the last thing in the world I want to do is cause a greater mess by throwing salt over my shoulder. So I've never been one to throw salt like that. And finally, Friday the 13th is an unlucky day. Possible origins include the Last Supper had 13 people at the table, and Jesus was crucified on a Friday. And in 1307, the Knights Templar were arrested on Friday, October 13th, which reinforced the superstition centuries later. Many buildings still skip the 13th floor when numbering their floors because of this belief. That one always throws me off because they're not building a 13th floor. They're just not labeling it the 13th floor. So in reality, all that's happened is from floor 12, above floor 12, everything's just misnumbered. It's not that there isn't a 13th floor. There is a 13th floor. It's just it's called the 14th floor, but it's still the 13th floor. So I don't understand why that's like they're like, "Oh, there's no 13th floor." No, there is. There totally is. Anyway, that throws me off. But whatever. All right. Enough about that. Gotta keep my cigar going here. It is a box press cigar. I've been smoking more of those on the show. I noticed that when I was logging this one, it's like, there's been a bit more box press action here in the first quarter of this year. I don't know what's up with that, but anyway, it's not bad. It's fairly light. Retrohale is pretty smooth. A little bit of pepper, a little bit of spice and pepper on the retrohale, but nothing super offensive or slitting my throat or anything like that. It's fairly easy. I'll say the burn line on it is pretty tight, and the draw on it's been really good. So I've been, so in this little bit in the beginning here, the Artista Harvest is smoking really, really well. All right, let's get into cigar stuff. Now, we'll see where this goes. A long ash means a well-made cigar. I've heard this one a lot. I'm sure you guys have heard it a lot. Hell, you may have said it. If someone manages to hold a long ash, inevitably somebody nearby is going to say, that's a well-constructed cigar. The truth behind it is that good bunching can help an ash hold longer, but a lot of it comes down to how the smoker is sitting. Are they holding it at an angle? Are they doing, are they holding it flat? Are they holding it straight up? That sort of thing. I know the one time that I had, there was one time with a Perdomo Champagne, and I don't remember, probably a Gordo, because that point in time I was smoking that specific cigar and that specific Vitola quite a bit. I smoked that thing down to the absolute nub and held the perfect ash the whole way through. And I have pictures. I could prove it with pictures. I have proven it with pictures. And but I got by about the halfway point, maybe not even halfway, maybe slightly before halfway, I started smoking it vertically. Like I had to hold it straight up and down and crane my head around underneath it in order to take my puffs on it, because I did not want to angle the cigar in any direction to where it would put some stress on that ash and cause it to break. So how you're holding the cigar and how you're sitting can definitely impact how long the ash holds. Humidity levels. If the cigar is really dry, it's probably not going to hold an ash for as long. The type of tobacco in the filler. Is it a type that produces a dense ash, or is it a type that produces like a really flaky, soft ash? That obviously is going to impact how long that ash holds as well. And then obviously it comes down to luck, because like I said, I worked my ass off to get that Perdomo all the way to where it was complete and held tight. And I was outside, so all it would have taken is one gust of wind and I'd have been hosed, and it would have been quite the mess all over me. So realistically, luck plays a huge part in being able to hold on to a long ash on a cigar like that. And it's kind of odd how we as cigar smokers kind of hold that as like a badge of honor. And that dropping ash like that means that the cigar implies that the cigar is less or is inferior in some way to others. That has absolutely nothing to do with it. And honestly, the amount of time, it's a stupid little game that we all play in the lounge. The amount of time that I've seen guys, and hell, I may have done it myself inadvertently or purposely. You're puffing and you've got this big ash on your cigar, and you're thinking, it's gonna break. I need to ash it here. And as you're reaching for the ashtray, that's when it breaks and you cause a mess. I don't know. I try not to do that now because I don't want to clean up the mess. But I know I have shirts that have holes in them because I've dropped ash on my shirt before. So it's unfortunate. I don't want to do that. Now that one kind of leads into this next one, which is that you shouldn't tap the ash too early. This one ties in, and basically it says that Some cigar smokers insist that you should let the ash fall naturally, believing that knocking it off too early disrupts the burn. In reality, it's a little murky. Sometimes knocking the ash off actually helps maintain an even burn by allowing fresh oxygen to reach the burn. But some people, kind of act like you're breaking a rule. There's a sweet spot. You can definitely take an ash too long. You do want to have somewhat of an ash on the end of your cigar. For nothing else, then it does kind of help cool the air and kind of help cool the burn. Because if you notice, if you're ashing it constantly to where you've got that exposed cherry going on the outside, the end of the cigar, it can start burning a little hot. And especially if you're drawing on it and puffing on it and everything else, you're drawing air in and you're creating, heat. And so then your cigar might get an uneven burn or something else if you're causing it to burn too hot. So leave a little ash, but you don't have to do long ash competitions every single time you smoke if you don't want to. There is a sweet spot where maybe you should consider letting the ash go. Wooden matches are the right way to light. There's a long-standing belief that lighting a cigar with a wooden match or cedar spill is the proper way. The reasoning usually goes that butane lighters are too hot, lighter fuel affects the flavor, and that matches provide a softer flame. Butane torches are great. And it's really just a matter of knowing how to use your butane torch. If you're going to sit there and concentrate that hot flame on the end of your cigar for 20 minutes, then yeah, you're going to scorch the shit out of the tobacco. You're going to overheat it and you're going to burn it and you're going to have a bad time. You can get it lit quickly without holding the flame on it forever. And you shouldn't even be holding the flame on it. You should be using that heat at the top. Like, if you see this and you see the blue of the flame, you're putting it in there, you're putting it in that's not correct. You need to be going to the heat of the flame, not the flame itself. Soft flame, my experience, I don't really have a lot of experience with soft flame lighters. But I've had people in the industry over the last 6 to 8 months saying that they're seeing a huge resurgence in basic Bic lighters, just basic soft flame Bic lighters, that they work perfectly fine, they do their job, whatever. I don't know, but they're probably a hell of a lot cheaper and a hell of a lot easier to get a hold of sometimes than these, especially if you're traveling and you don't want to be flying and you're not checking a bag. If you're not checking a bag, you're not bringing one of those with you. So, there's that. Now, regarding the match and the cedar spill, I've tried matches. Matches are a pain in the fucking ass. You can do it. It can be done. And I respect somebody who does it because I find it to be extraordinarily difficult. I've tried with the long matches. I've tried with multiple matches at one time. So you get whatever. I'm not a fan of using matches to light my cigars. I'll do it in a pinch if that's all I have. If that's absolutely all I have, I will find a way to make it work. It's not going to be pretty, and it's probably not going to result in a good burn. Cedar spills, that's a different story. Again, I've never actually done it myself. The only time I've ever really had that done was when I went with Hector to Pina Cigars in Miami. And those ladies lit my cigar with the cedar spill, and it took a very long time. They went through multiple cedar strips, getting the light, getting the light perfect. Because again, they're not putting the cigar into the flame; they're putting it into the heat of the flame. And when you're dealing with a soft flame like that, it takes a lot longer for the cigar to heat up and get going, especially when you're dealing with that kind of a flame versus like a butane lighter. But I'll say this. The superstition saying that it's better and everything like that one, I may not 100% disagree with that, because I will still stand by and say that cigar that I had at Pina, A, it lasted forever. B, I never had to touch up the burn on it whatsoever. And C, the flavors of that cigar came out in such a rich and magnificent way that I have not experienced before. And so for what it's worth, I actually will buy into the fact that lighting your cigar in a long, pronounced, proper way with cedar spills, with a soft flame, really taking your time. And I mean, you're taking time. This is not like I'm lighting my cigar in a minute or less. You are taking time with it. I actually thought it was a really great experience, and yeah, I dug it. So for what it's worth, that one I could buy into. Okay, if a cigar tunnels or canoes, it's a bad cigar. Uneven burns, canoeing, tunneling, or side burning are often blamed on poor construction. Sometimes that's true. However, there are other causes. Lighting unevenly. If you're lighting your cigar too quickly and you put too much heat on one side of the cigar than the other, you know what? You're going to end up with an uneven burn. You're going to end up with one side doing more burning than the other side, and you're going to end up with a side burn or something like that. Wind. Wind can 100% affect your burn line. When I smoke in the car, when I'm doing the drive time reviews, I've talked about it. The window, I have one window down, or cracked at least. That's where I'm getting my ventilation out of the driver's side window. I don't take burn line into consideration with the drive time reviews, within reason, because there's going to be a bit of unevenness to the burn because there's all this wind and air movement on the one side. That side is going to get cooler ever so slightly than the other side because of all that air movement. So you're going to have an uneven burn that way. Smoking too slowly or smoking too quickly can also both impact your burn. If you're smoking too slowly, what ends up happening is, do I have one of these butts? No, I'm not going to fish through the butts in that ashtray. If you smoke too slowly, what ends up happening is when you break the ash off, it's almost concave. The filler is burning faster than the wrapper. And so, at that point, you got to catch it up and get the wrapper burning and even with the filler. If you're smoking too quickly, you end up with the wrapper burning too quick, and that's when you get the spears. You get the hard tobacco in the middle, and you get the spears and the points and the little knots and everything like that. You're smoking it too quickly at that point. Every cigar's got a little sweet spot, and you just have to figure that out as you go. But realistically, those are probably the main reason you're having some issues. Now, the other thing I will say, though, is I have encountered a great number, and I've been encountering them more and more in the last, I'd say, year and a half. And I've talked about this on the show. I dealt with it in COVID, and I'm now noticing it again. Tobacco voids. I'm not calling it canoeing or tunneling. I'm not calling it tunneling. I'm calling it tobacco void, where when you look at the foot of the cigar as you're smoking it, you can see a clearly defined just void straight down the barrel of that cigar. And it's almost like a leaf was there and like flash burned or something like that. Or you have a void where there was no leaf and it's empty and whatever. That will impact draw. That will cause, if it's bad enough, that'll impact draw. You'll have to where the inside is burning hot, super hot, but the outside, the wrapper is going absolutely nowhere because it's not getting, to where it needs to get to. I've noticed that a lot lately, and it's not brand specific. There's a couple of brands that I've noticed it maybe a little bit more frequently than others. But there are definitely brands that you wouldn't think of that pride themselves on their construction that I have had issues with that. So for what it's worth, it's all over the place. That I would not say I would blame on lighting or wind or your smoking speed. But yeah, the majority of the time when you're having an issue with your cigar, user error to some degree or environment definitely comes into play. Finally, the last little cigar superstition is that relighting a cigar ruins it. Another long-standing belief is that cigars should never go out. If it does, some smokers claim that the flavor will be permanently ruined. In reality, relighting only affects flavor if the cigar sat for a long time, the ash wasn't cleared before relighting, and the burnt tobacco taste will build up. Okay. I'm not a big fan of relighting a cigar. I will do it like here, if I'm talking too much, I'll hit my cigar with a little bit of flame to kind of get it re-going, which I guess technically would be relighting a cigar. When I think of relighting a cigar, I think, okay, I'm having this cigar and I have to leave. I have to go to the grocery store. I have to go somewhere. I have to do something. So I'm going to set it down and I will come back to it in an hour or two or whatever. And relight it, get the rest of it out of it. I'm not a fan of doing that. My whole thought on that is it does impact the flavor. There is a time period that you have to get back to it. If you can't get back to it in a couple hours, I personally wouldn't do it. If you are going to do that, then there's obviously things that you should do. At the end, like if I were to stop smoking the cigar right now, and I knew that I was going to stop smoking the cigar right now, the last thing I would do before I set it down to go do whatever I was going to do is I would take it, and instead of drawing in on it, I would blow out through it. And I would blow out through it. That'll help start the cooling down process. It'll also help, just kind of blow some of the smoke, some of the particulate, kind of start clearing the chamber a little bit. Then you just let it sit, let it go out. Then when you come back to it and you're going to relight it, the first thing, knock all the ash off as best you can. Really knock the ash off, because the last thing in the world you want to be doing is lighting ash on fire, because that is it's like it said, it's burnt tobacco, and that is not going to taste good. You're going to be tasting ash. The next thing would be when you take the flame, instead of when you've got the cigar in your mouth and you're rotating it around and you've got the flame on it, normally when you do that, you're drawing in and you're drawing the flame into the cigar, and it kind of flares up and, whatever, and looks cool, and you get the cigar going. In this case, you're doing the same, but instead of drawing in, you're pushing out. You're puffing out. You're pushing air through the cigar, and it's lighting that way. I did this the other day. I was here, I was smoking. I had somebody come to the house, had to go inside for a little bit. I was inside maybe an hour and a half. I came back out, and I still had a fair amount of cigar left, and I wasn't going to waste it. So I did that. And I took note that when I did that, the outer ring of the cigar was kind of glowing with that orange, but the actual center was it kind of looked like it hadn't lit. But then when I started drawing on it, it was fine, and I didn't get that burnt, charred, stale cigar taste. I got the flavor of the cigar again. So that's good. That, it can be done. I'm not a fan of it. I don't typically do it often. But I know people that, they're not going to waste a cigar, and so they're going to relight it and reuse it. More power to them. There's just ways to do it to where you can have a better experience than other things. I also know people that they don't give a shit, and they just hit the thing and they just light it again, and they go. It's I've done that by mistake once or twice. I'm not a fan of that. I think it tends to. The other thing I find, no matter what cigar, but I'll definitely say Perdomos. If you set it down and you wait and come back to it and relight it and smoke it again, the spice level on that guy just shoots through the roof. I don't know what it is about Perdomo that when you relight and hit a Perdomo for the second time, if you've had to take a break on it for whatever reason, it ramps up significantly in its strength or spice level. So I don't know. I would be curious as to why that is. Maybe it's just me and I'm just perceiving it wrong, but I don't think so because it happens pretty regularly. Anyway, finally, no, wait, we got two more. Second to last one. Dark cigars are stronger. I remember this one from back when I first started smoking cigars. I had somebody tell me that the way I could tell how strong a cigar was by the color of it. That the lighter the cigar was, the more mild the cigar it was. And that the darker it was, the stronger it was. And so in the beginning, I was avoiding dark cigars like crazy. Because, this is back in the day where I'm buying the Monte Cristo White series and, some Romeo y Julieta Reserva Reals. And eventually I moved on to some Fuente. I don't know which one because how can you know which one based off their branding? But everybody assumes that the Maduro cigars are the stronger ones. But in reality, that color comes entirely from fermentation and curing, not from nicotine strength. Some of the Maduros on the market are some of the smoothest, some of the sweetest cigars that you're going to find. So the color of the wrapper absolutely has nothing to do with the strength, but I hear that all the damn time. And like I said, that's even what I was taught in the very beginning. So, but it's a myth, not even a superstition. It's just a straight myth. Finally, a cigar tastes better when you wait. Many cigar smokers swear that aging cigars improves everything. And while aging can smooth certain blends, not every cigar benefits from using years in a humidor. Some cigars are blended specifically to be smoked fresh out of the box. And yet a lot of people tend to just continue on doing what they do with the aging process. I think aging can be a fun thing to do. And I do think some cigars do benefit from aging. But at least smoke one in the beginning to see if you like it. And if you do, then roll with it. I know, back when the Perdomo Firecracker came out, I remember a lot of people were saying, oh, I'm going to age this and blah, blah, blah. And Nick was saying, no, we've already aged it. You don't have to. Just smoke it now. Enjoy it now. A lot of cigars are ready to roll. Some cigars are not. There are some that, yes, aging will benefit them. And in some cases, it's not so much that aging is going to make them better or worse. It just might result in a slightly different experience. And so maybe that's your thing. You want to experiment around and see what the cigar will do if you age it for a little while. Realistically, though, I accidentally age more than I purposely age. And what I mean by that is I get stuff, I put it in the humidor, and then more stuff rolls in. And before long, the stuff that I bought is buried. And years later, I stumble across it and realize, oh shit, I still have this, So that's kind of how that goes. Like even that box of Henry Clay Warhawk Rebellious that I have, I aged it, not on purpose. I just didn't want to break into it because it was limited, and I didn't want to I was hoarding it. I wanted to save it, whatever else. But it's not like I was aging it on purpose to see how it was going to change. I was just doing it because I didn't want to smoke the damn thing. So, in some cases, you just kind of accidentally age things. In which case, that can be fun. That can be something different. But I don't necessarily know if you have to do it to make it better, I think that a lot of cigars are perfectly fine, right off the bat. So anyway, well, that's some cigar superstitions. What other superstitions do you guys have? Do you guys have any in your lounge, where you maybe don't do this, don't sit in that chair, don't, whatever. I don't know, what sort of superstitions do you guys have? So anyway, well, why don't we move on and do this now?
It's time for the Villiger Cigars Entertainment Report, brought to you by
Villiger.
Villiger Cigars, one of the leading cigar and cigarello manufacturers in the world, founded in 1888 and still family-owned and operated. Head over to VilligerCigars.com and check the store locator to find a shop near you that carries them. We guarantee that Villiger Cigars will be a wonderful addition to your humidor and cigar rotation.
This is a tasty little cigar. I am not getting any sort of yuck off of this at all. I don't know. Maybe Ed would disagree. He seems to have a very sensitive palate to the Sumatra, but for what it's worth, I'm not getting any sort of Sumatra yuck from this cigar. Either that or my palate's blown out. But it's very smooth. Very, very smooth. And the draw on it's been amazing. My burn line has been really pretty good. It's a little wavy, but it's not, too bad. And but it's burning really, really nice, and it kicks off a good amount of smoke, which I like. So I'm digging the Artista Harvest Sumatra. Anyway, so what have I been watching lately? I'm still on my documentary kick, but I'm done. I just wrapped up the 60s today. I watched one about the year 1968, where it seemed like fucking everything happened between Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy both getting shot and killed. You had, the ongoing war in Vietnam. You had the presidential race and what was going on there, and eventually leading to Nixon taking the White House. Good Lord, what else happened that year? I don't remember everything from that episode. It was like everything that you could have happen that year happened. The last episode of the 60s was all about the hippies, and quite frankly, I was a little uninterested in that. That's the thing about this series. Some of these episodes I'm into, and some of them I'm not. And that's the nice thing, is I can just skip the one I'm not. Did I care about watching some of the music ones? I didn't care. There was one all about Beatlemania. It's the Beatles. I get it. I don't need to watch it. But yeah, so I enjoyed that. I don't know. I need to find something else now, but I think I might be on the tail end of my documentary kick, and I might have to find something fun to watch. Not that documentaries aren't fun, but I need to find something a little bit more fictional, maybe, to watch. So I don't know. There's still another season of Bridgerton that I need to catch up on. But we'll see. I don't know. I'll find something else before then. Otherwise, that's kind of all I've watched. I've been doing a lot of work. I've been catching up on stuff, and I've been doing a lot of work so that I can kind of clear my plate. It's tax time. I was talking about this in the last episode when my dad was on, and I have been doing a lot of work trying to get advertising for the newspaper going so that I can get the tax man paid. And it's one of those things that takes up time. So unfortunately, in terms of my entertainment, it's been a little limited. But hopefully, come April 15th, all will be taken care of, and I won't need to worry. Knocking on wood. Anyway. All right, guys. Well, it is Friday, and that means that it is time for another Pinky's Fun Fact.
Hey, it's your girl Pinky. Ready for a fun fact? In ancient tribes, a new king would eat the penis of the previous king in order to take on his powers. This has been Pinky, and I'll be back next time with more fun facts.
We've been on a real balls and penis kick lately with the Pinky Fun Facts. seems like we stacked them up there quite a bit between, getting hit in the balls can kill you, and one ball being bigger than the other, and now ancient kings consuming the penises of their predecessor to gain their powers. Yeah, we're on a real penis kick with the Pinky Fun Fact there. I don't know what's up with that, but well, I don't really know what to think of that. I don't know. Yeah. I'm struggling to think of what to say about that because I don't know if I'd want the gig if that's part of what it entailed. That's just not something I'm super interested in consuming. Although I guess it's ancient times and they were a little less picky about their food sources back then. But yeah, I don't know. That doesn't seem like something I'd be interested in. Anyway, well, guys, it's a little shorter episode here. Just kind of busting through it, but that's all right. I am available on the socials. I'm on Instagram at The Cigar Pulpit. I am on Facebook, where we have the Pulpit Parishioners group. You can get in on the fun over there by joining up. And I will admit you, and you will be able to start sharing your cigars and everything else. And if you're in there, share your cigars. Take part in the conversation. Build a camaraderie. That's more of a community for all of you to, kind of get to know each other and hang out. And also for me to make some show announcements and things like that. But yeah, that's a fun space. Twitter/X, I'm on there. You can watch this on Rumble and YouTube, which is also where you can catch the Wednesday drive time reviews. There should be 2 of them out now, and you'll be able to catch those every Wednesday. And then Ask the Pulpit. I need your calls. Call the hotline, area code 863-874-0000. That's 863-874-0000. That or Tofu Pie, but that's P-I, not P-I-E. Tofu Pie 0000. Also, finally, head on over to cigarpulpit.com, and the little pop-up box comes up. Sign up for the newsletter. It's the Cigar Chronicle. The next one should be coming out sometime in the next week. So the March one should be coming out in the next week. So if you sign up now, you'll be on the list and you will get that. And that'll come once a month. It might come twice a month in rare occurrences. Like when the FDA sided with cigars, a couple years back, that would have prompted an email. PCA and PCA coverage, that'll probably prompt an email. But by and large, it's going to be one time a month, and I won't bug you. Yeah, we got that going on. Otherwise, I have been enjoying this Artista Harvest Sumatra. It's smoking wonderfully. It kicks off tons of smoke. I like that. Like I said, burn and construction have been really, really nice. Flavor, a little sweetness here and there, a little bit of, maybe like some barn, not a lot of barn, maybe earth. It's tobacco, little sweetness, hints of spice, pepper to the retro hilt, but it's a very slight hint, not all that terribly much. It's a good cigar. It's a fairly, I would classify it as maybe like, what would I say? Maybe a 3 on the strengthometer. I maybe a 3 on that. It's not bad. It's good. I like it. I would smoke it again. I would definitely smoke it again, even though it's a box press. I would love to try it in a round, but nobody, I don't know. Artista is the one who makes the Buffalo 10, which is like a real tight wafer, kind of box press. It's very, very flat. And this has some similarity to that in that the box press itself, it's very rectangular. And so they must like their box press over at Artista. Now they also make the Big Poppy, which I don't believe that is a box press. I think that's a round. So they can make round. So maybe, maybe they could make this in a round if they wanted to. But anyway, I like the guys from Artista, and I look forward to seeing them at PCA, hopefully. Otherwise, what else did I want to touch on with you guys? Oh, so coming up on Tuesday, it will be St. Patrick's Day. So, I'll have some St. Patrick's Day fun there. If you have a green cigar, do that. I will be smoking an Aladino Candela because I do not want to, I'm over the, no disrespect whatsoever to the fine folks at Alec Bradley. I'm kind of over the hooligan thing. I did that a number of years in a row. It's okay. It's not my favorite cigar. I actually really like the Aladino Candela. I smoke it maybe a couple times a year. It's a good cigar that doesn't have that kind of Candela grassiness to it. It's maybe very, very light and hinting there, but it's not that bad. So I'm going to be smoking the Aladino Candela if you want to try and track one of those down before Tuesday's show. And just as a little tease, there will be a new segment on Tuesday. Oh, yes. I'm looking forward to this one. You guys may not, but I'm looking forward to this one because I am on the hunt for perfection. And so I'm going to use this staging ground to establish my search for perfection. And this will all become clear on Tuesday. So anyway, until then, guys, thank you so much for taking time out. I truly do appreciate it. This has been another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm Nick. Everybody, stay safe and stay smoky. One superstition I didn't bring up earlier, but just dawned on me, is that craziness happens under full moons. And let me tell you, crazy shit happens under full moons. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the lizard part of our brain that triggers and just goes bananas or what, but for some reason, every living thing, people, animals, whatever, we all go a little bit bananas under full moons. So anybody who's a nurse or works at a hospital or law enforcement or something like that, you all know what I'm talking about. Full moons are fucking crazy. So that one's legit. Anyway, take care, guys.